Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of PT Educators, Professors of Profit Vlogcast. Got a good friend on today, and then soon-to-be Dr. Joey Allbritton. Joey, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your areas of expertise and what you've been up to lately.
All right, so my past is a little bit kind of all over the place. So I, for a while, was actually a dental hygienist. Decided to go back to physical therapy school, and from there realized I'm gonna have to learn how to frickin' market because we see how pretty much everything's trending in healthcare, specifically with physical therapy. So I decided to start learning, and it kind of went full force into it because that's just my obsessive personality. Um, so got into that, and then from there actually uh, got linked up with some people and decided to actually start running some advertising for some clinicians. So been doing that for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. Um, Mainly Facebook and Google ads, but I've built websites, I've built courses, including the Mobile PT League. Pretty dang good course if you haven't bought it. But yeah, I've built tons of courses, I've built websites, I've done a lot of copywriting, emails, pretty much everything you could think of when it comes to marketing, and really just always learning. So doesn't really matter how long you've been doing all this. There's always something to learn.
Absolutely. And I can vouch for Joey on each and every one of his services because I have paid him to do a bunch of stuff for me. I've collaborated with him on a bunch of projects. Joey is an all-out professional at everything he does. And I can say that I am not an expert copywriter, but in about a 3-month span, I read about 10 books on copywriting that I felt really helped me move forward to the next level of copywriting. And at the very least, I can at least play a copywriter on television at this point. So, I love it. I really do. I enjoy copywriting. I'm going to give you guys a link at the end of this episode for a tool that has a list of all of my books that I use to take myself to the next level in copywriting. And like Joey said, there's just always more to learn. So, the 10 books is kind of the starter kit, but moving forward, there's going to be a ton more that I have lined up that even new ones that are coming out these days that I need to get on, because realistically, it changes so quickly these days. You really have to keep up on what's in the now. And, Joey, what would you say, academicians, professors, healthcare clinicians, why should they consider looking into copywriting or starting a business that includes and entails copywriting? Because copywriting is a completely different beast than, your regular writing or your scientific writing. So, why should they consider starting something that involves copywriting? Why is it so important?
So realistically, copywriting and sales are pretty much one and the same. So if you're not familiar with what copywriting even is, copywriting is essentially any form of text used to sell some type of service or you getting someone to do something. So even if it's not the fact that you're trying to sell physical therapy, if you want someone to do something, you have to sell them on it. So if you're a clinician, you've got to sell someone on actually doing their HEP. If you are an I can't say that word, I'm not even gonna try it, an academician or some shit like that. I don't know if I'm supposed to cuss on this, but but if you're trying to get anyone to do anything, whether it's learning or anything like that, you've got to be persuasive in how you do everything. So whether it's a presentation, whether it's you trying to sell something, whether you're doing it as a service, if you can't get someone to realize why it's important, or even more importantly, what happens if they don't take action, that's what a lot of people don't focus on with their copywriting, is the consequences of if they fail or if they don't do anything or move forward, what actually happens. So if you don't do that, then realistically, you could be the best teacher, you could be the best physical therapist, but you could be chilling in your own little practice or whatever by yourself, because it doesn't matter if you're good if no one comes to see you. So you've got to really learn how to do this stuff so you can be able to actually portray what you want and actually get people to do what you want. And that's not tricking people into doing stuff that they don't need. It's allowing them to realize this is what they need and this is why, and this is what happens if you were to not take action. So I think that's the big discrepancy, is a lot of people see sales and copywriting as some way of tricking someone into actually just handing over money for something. But as long as you have the good intentions in mind, and you know you're actually giving them something of value, then sell the crap out of someone, whether it be text or in person. Like, that is your duty. Like, to be honest, if you're not focusing on your copywriting and you're not doing that, you're actually doing a disservice to them, because they're not going to take action. So that's my short reason of why. I could go on an hour rant on why people need to be doing this. People have a hard time wanting to put their self out there. That's another reason that stops people. Or just the idea of the fact that they think it needs to be perfect. Realistically, I don't think I've ever put out what I would consider perfect copywriting. And I also realized that anything that I've ever written the first time, it wasn't that good to start with. But you've got to get something on the paper, so that way you can see what's good and what isn't, and go from there. But don't let don't be hesitant on essentially like starting because you don't know this or you don't know that or you're worried about this. Just get pen to paper. And I actually do recommend paper, like not actually doing it on the computer. There's something weird about how pen and paper just ends up being that much better, but pen and paper. And then worst case scenario, if it's bad, put a line through it. No one has to see it but you. So really, like, get doing it. It doesn't matter what place you're in. Like I said, whether you're a professor, whether you're a clinician, there's somewhere in your life that you could be using this to either make more money or to just get people to take action on something you want them to do.
Yeah, so many golden nuggets there, Joey. I mean, you hit the nail on the head time and time again there. I mean, again, writing copy and getting people to take action is really just a form of persuasion, right? And it's not a persuasion like a used car salesman, sleazy, bad way. It's literally just educating them to make better, well-informed decisions, which will help themselves and help better themselves. And I think the key there is that we're already educators, right? We're either professors or we're clinicians who have to educate on a daily basis. So we're already educators. We all can educate. So we need to use that skill and just turn it into using now the right words and copy in order to get people to take that action. And you also, a technique that I use is the pen and paper as well.
Mhm.
And I just blurt out everything I can. And then I tend to go over and correct it and scale it down and change words and switch the order and do things. And I keep doing that and I keep doing that till I find something that I'm happy with. So yeah, I love that technique.
Yeah.
What's one expert tip or trick or secret in the world of copywriting that you would give to somebody who's just starting out?
One that helps, whether it's for speeches, for lectures, for anything like that. It sounds like common sense, but I've been surprised at how much it's helped with how stuff flows with my copywriting, is the fact that you need to read it out loud. Do not just write it on paper, because you'll realize once you start to read it, or if you get like a significant other to read it, where they actually start to pause. And if they've paused, you've probably already lost them. Because if they have to think about it more than a split second, because we know how Facebook is, we know how all the social media is, it's just such a finite like amount of attention that these people have. So you've got to realistically like grab their attention and don't give them any reason to stop reading. So saying stuff out loud. And then the other tip, which I can't take credit for, it's going to be Ray Edwards. Pretty much everything that you do with copywriting can be broken down into what's called the P.A.S.T.O.R method. So the P.A.S.T.O.R method, I'll just break that down just real quick. So it's you hit the pain or problem first. The reason that's important is because, like I said, with everybody having so much other things that they can look at right now, you've got to immediately hit what the problem is. So they want to actually continue reading, or they want to actually continue doing whatever else you want them to do. From there, you want them to say, okay, like this is my problem. And then from there, you want to amplify it. So make it even worse. Like, this is what happens if you ignore it. So that way they know they need to take action, because if they don't understand why they need to do it, they're just going to continue doing what they've always done, which we know hasn't worked for them. So you amplify it. So that's the A in P.A.S.T.O.R. And then from there, you want to do some type of story/solution. Storytelling is really good with this, because you're going to be able to let them, through your story, say, oh yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. or you can have a story of how you came about finding a solution to their problem, because you're essentially telling them it's okay that you're going through this. I went through that, or I went through this crazy process. I understand why you didn't know how to do that, because you were told the wrong things. And I actually was told the wrong things too, until I had this epiphany of this going on. So they understand and they realize it's not their fault, because the moment you can get the blame off of them, they're going to say, okay, well, it wasn't my fault. I was set up to fail. Well, that's how everybody is. And they seem to have the solution because they know exactly what everybody else is going through. And then from there, just a simple testimony. So showing like you have results doing whatever you're trying to get them to do. And what most people end up leaving off on this is actually an offer. Um, Everybody in the space likes to teach. Everybody in the space wants to show all kinds of stuff. And then by the time they get to the end of it, they don't want to actually make an offer. And the amount of offers and the amount of times you actually try to make a sale is going to be a direct relation to how many times you actually sell. Because if you don't, it's kind of the Wayne Gretzky, you miss every shot that you don't take. So you really have to make an offer, but within that offer, you've really got to dial in the benefits and essentially everything of why that offer is so much good, so good, and why it's so different than anything else they've ever seen. So you have to kind of make it a little bit sexier. So you have to list those benefits. You need to really show them the transformation of where they are to the desired outcome they want to get to. And then the last one's just response. So that all that pretty much means is like why they need to actually respond and act now. So that's going to be urgency and scarcity. So urgency and scarcity, the big difference between those is urgency is it closes in a week. We're no longer offering it. Scarcity is we only have 10 of those. A lot of people kind of confuse those or say that they're kind of interchangeable, but those are two drastically different things. But just like everything else, like if you don't give someone a reason to act now, they're just going to keep waiting and doing the same thing they did. Any of you who are clinicians, you've all seen someone that has had back pain for 6 months to 10 years. Like it happens. It's not like if someone has back pain for a week and they're like, oh, I really got to make sure I get into physical therapy. Like that doesn't happen. So you've got to show them like why they need to make some type of change. Otherwise, they're never going to actually take action. And the same thing goes with any time you're trying to teach. Someone has been taught how to do something over and over, and they think this is the golden way to treat someone. This is the golden way to do something like that. Sorry, my dog's barking at something at the window. So they've been taught the same way. So unless you tell them like, this is why you need to change this and give them a good reason of why they need to change, what makes you think they're ever going to implement anything that you're teaching them? So if you don't do all this copywriting within your presentations, with anything you sell, like it doesn't matter what you're teaching. You're just going to be that teacher who they ignore, and they're on Facebook. They're doing all this stuff because they don't know why it's important to them. So you've really got to dial this in and put it into absolutely everything you do.
Yeah, those are absolutely amazing tips, Joey. I appreciate that. My audience is going to get a lot of value out of that, I think. At the very least, it'll definitely make you think about how you need to start writing things differently and using copy differently to get people to take action. So, well, Joey, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time and your knowledge. Like I said, for those of you interested in copywriting, I've got a tool on my website. It's pteducator.com/copy. If you look that up, that'll be the list of the 10 books that I use to, like I said, elevate myself to the next level. I'm calling it PT Educator's Copywriting Elevator. So go ahead and download that thing. I'm an alliteration fool. What can I say? I love alliteration. English major in me, you know? But yeah, so go download that. Joey, where can people reach out to you if they have more questions about copywriting or want to hire you for your services? Where can they find you online?
The easiest place is going to be in my Facebook group. It's just PT Marketing Secrets. I'm excited to say we just broke the 1,000 threshold of members. So not too shabby since I started it at the start of this year. So it seems to be growing pretty quick. Or you can just friend request me. It's just Joey Allbritton. That's 2 L's, 2 T's on there. Pretty much everybody misspells that and mispronounces it. But you can friend request me, send me a message. I respond to those. But yeah, probably PT Marketing Secrets is the easiest one. For someone who does a lot of marketing and all that, I don't really have an Instagram. I have a YouTube that I don't really do. So the group is definitely the easiest way to find all my content. I actually just did a full, I think it was like 45-minute video on how to write headlines. Literally just headlines. That's all it is, because that's one of the most important things within all of your advertising. Because if someone doesn't stop on that, then realistically, it doesn't matter how good everything else is or how good your offer is, because they just kept scrolling. So I cover some of this stuff. Definitely check out F Scott's stuff as well, with his little alliteration there. I can't remember what it was. He really does love his alliterations.
I do. I do. Guilty as charged. But yeah, Joey, thank you so much again for all your time, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. It's always good talking to you, man.
Yes, sir.